I'm Soko, and welcome back to my Cozy Mountain Resort series. In this week's build, I have created the coolest little townhouse style shopping center. Stick around to the end to see a full tour of the inside. I think you're really gonna love this one. In the meantime, let's start building. Begin by creating a block that is 61 blocks long by 10 blocks deep. And then we are going to add a little 3 stack of these tuft blocks. And we're going to do it at the very front of the face. And we're going to space them 5 blocks apart. So on the 6th block, add another set. And you're probably aware that I can't count at this point. So I had to add an extra row, but it does equate to 61. Then I went back to make sure everything was even before I started on the townhouse walls. From wall to wall, they are 7 blocks wide. And we're gonna add our frame for each townhouse first. So stack a set of blocks 10 high. And this is just gonna give us a gauge for how tall the building is going to be. But at the end units end up being only 8 blocks high, so you can stop at 8 if you want to. To finish the outline, we are going to the front of the building and we're going to add 2 blocks, one on each side, and we're going to inset it by 1 block. So this is where our door is going to be, and we'll be able to add some texture later to the face of the building. Then we're just going to bring those corners up before we finish the frames for the rest of the building. And this part is optional, but I added a couple blocks in the center so I could get an idea of where the middle of each townhouse will be. For the next townhouse, repeat the same outline and choose a different material. I went with acacia to complement the red brick, but you can choose any colors you like. Repeat each townhouse frame all the way to the end in your chosen materials. For this build, I went with red nether bricks, acacia wood, regular nether bricks, stripped oak wood, nether bricks again. Then I switched it to stripped spruce wood, then repeated the stripped oak wood, more nether bricks, acacia wood, and ended on red nether brick. We'll get to the sides of each end unit in a little while, but for now, each townhouse is going to have 2 windows along the back wall with a 1 block column in the center, and we're going to fill in each wall all the way down. And this is how your wall should look once all of your frames are complete. For the sides of the end unit, we're going to add double windows, and so we're going to create a 2 block space with a 1 block column in the center and carve out another 2 block space. So you can actually do this when you're setting up the frames, but I was undecided on the windows. That's why I'm carving them out now. And then just make sure the opposite side is the same. Of course, in your build, you don't have to make them identical. This was just a bit easier for me since this is one of my largest builds. So you can definitely change it up to fit however you want your townhouse to look. But I think it looks pretty good so far. So moving on, we are going to start adding the second floor and place it on the 4th block up. And halfway through this build, I decided to make a design change, and instead of having 1 apartment per townhouse, I decided to split the apartment between 2 townhouses and make it 1 large apartment. So for the first townhouse and every other townhouse down, the floor will be placed on the 4th block up, and for the second townhouse and every other townhouse from there, the floor will be placed on the 5th block up. And with the floor finish, I decided to place some blocks underneath where the top floor windows would go, and we'll worry about that exposed brick later, but we'll go ahead and do the same thing on the front. And then we're going to go ahead and place the staircase in the first townhouse. And now you want to start by knocking off the corner block and then set your staircase down. And I did this painfully slow, but I learned a new trick, so all you have to do is point your cursor at the bottom corner of each block along the wall, and it'll set the perfect staircase for you. You don't have to do this whole mess and place stairs behind each other, so then just knock out those two blocks and then realize you should have started from the top. So add a staircase there, and then I will actually change this to a slab in the corner, but we're gonna work our way down from this point. So go ahead and bring the staircase all the way to the floor. Upstairs, I decided to take the wall down a block. Now I do eventually take out another row on the top to bring this from 10 blocks to 8 in total, because both of the end townhouses are going to be 8 blocks high. But for now, I was still trying to figure out exactly what I wanted to do. And then for the stair rails, I tried a couple of different options and didn't like the way they look. So I just went ahead with a wall, which will come in handy later. And now we can start on the second unit. And remember that we are bringing this floor up to 5 blocks. So count 4 blocks and then place on the 5th. And we're going to repeat this pattern all the way down. So the first unit is 4, the next unit is 5. So we're going to go 4, 5, 4, 5 all the way. And for the sake of saving you some confusion later on, I am showing you where I set these stairs up on the second unit, but I do take these out because remember, we're creating one large apartment above every 2 townhouses. So every other townhouse is getting a set of stairs. And then I didn't want to sabotage this view, which also contributed to making the apartments larger. I also attempted to make window ledges with stairs, but I didn't really know what I was doing. This definitely didn't turn out the way I wanted it to, so I did go back and replace those with brick blocks, but not before attempting it with the front windows. And honestly, you guys, I have no idea what I was thinking. I guess I didn't really know how this would work, so I was just testing it out, but it looked terrible. I mean, yeah, no, that's not working. So I'm just gonna go in here and replace the wood blocks. And once I tested out the stairs on the outside, I decided, hey, we're onto something here. I wasn't exactly sure what I was onto yet, but I kind of rolled with it and it started to look okay. And at this point, the wheels were turning, but that second story still needed a little tweaking. So first, let's bring this building back up to code by placing the acacia blocks underneath where the window is going to be. And how do you feel about these white glass windows? I think they look so cute against the colorful buildings with the snowy background. And I wanted to match the eave over the first floor window, so I went ahead and added a row of acacia and covered that with a row of stairs. And now what I'm just now realizing is we're actually going to bring the acacia buildings down a block. So you want them to be 9 blocks high because we are staggering the rooftops. We want our buildings to be different heights to make it a little more interesting to look at. So if you want to go ahead and count 9 blocks up and then fill in the roof, you'll also want to drop the window and eave on the second story down a row. I realized my mistake a little too late for me, but I decided I would let you save a little bit of time and give you the correct instructions for this build. And the next part of the build is just adding in the glass windows, and you'll want to remove that stair block and replace it with a regular block. So in this case, acacia. And then we're going to move on and fix up the front face of the buildings, and we're going to add a door as well. I've already gone through and added the doors to the rest of the build along with the windows and awnings, so I'll just show you this one. And now originally I had the door on the opposite side because remember we have these stairs in here, but I do end up changing this later. So all the doors are going to match. They're going to be on the same side of the wall, and the window is going to be on the same side of the wall as well. So if you're building along, put the door here instead of the window, and put the window where the door is. And you guys, I am so sorry if this tutorial is way more complicated than it needs to be. If you watched my first video, you'll know that I'm extremely new to Minecraft, and these videos are essentially documenting my journey as I learn to build, and eventually I want to start making videos playing survival and doing more things. But for now, I'm just focusing on creative and building, and I just want to share these builds with you because I love them so much. I get so much joy out of this. So that's my goal here, is to just share that joy with you. All right, let's get back to this build. Now, to make these townhouses more realistic, I decided to stagger them. The pattern I used starts with 8 blocks high, then goes to 9, then up to 10, back down to 9, and then 2 8-block high buildings in the center. And then here we're bringing it back up to 9. The next will be 10. It will go down to 9 and then end on 8. Now, once I had all of the heights adjusted for each townhouse, I did begin filling in the ceilings. However, I would skip this step. And you guys don't mind me. It is getting a little bit late over here, and I always tend to turn into a giggly little gremlin at night. But what I meant to say is that I would wait to put the ceiling up until the rooftop is finished, because it just makes it a little bit easier to put them up from the inside so that they're all the same height. I don't believe it affected much structurally, but visually it made it a little more challenging when it came time to place the roof. But right now I'm just going down the front of the building, making sure all the facades match. So we're including a door on the left and a double stacked window on the right. The only unit that is going to look different at this point is the last unit on the right that I hadn't finished yet. This will get changed to look identical to the others, so if you want to change that now, you can go ahead and do that, but I do end up changing it later on. And this is where I kind of struggled a bit to come up with something to do with these windows. So I went over to Pinterest and I found this really cute design from Koala Builds. However, I didn't see a tutorial, so I just tried to match it from the picture, and I think I got it pretty identical. But I do end up changing them to create window boxes, so I'm gonna fill these with dirt and then add plants. So let me know if you would like to see how I did that, and I will include it in the next video where I show you how I designed the interior of this build. And now I didn't have time to include it in this video, but I'll still be giving you a full tour of the inside before this video is over. Next, I decided to match the shutters with the window boxes. I thought this look was so cute and so clean. I loved how it came out. And then I just alternated the design for each townhouse to make sure that the colors had some sort of contrast to them. For the stripped oak townhouse, I went with waxed exposed copper stairs. And for a pop of color, I went with these waxed weathered copper trapdoors, and that is a mouthful, but I thought this looked really cute and just gave it a little something extra against all of the pink we have going on. And I decided to keep it simple by using the same color schemes for each corresponding townhouse. So the stripped oak both got the same trapdoors with the waxed copper stairs, and then the netherite buildings got the waxed copper trapdoors with junglewood stairs, and the acacia buildings got diorite stairs with waxed copper trapdoors. For the solo spruce townhouse, I gave it dark oak stairs with those cherry wood trapdoors, and that I loved the color combination of those. They look so cute. And now it was time to pick out some window eaves, so I compared the dark oak stairs with the smooth quartz stairs. And I quickly fell in love with the white eaves. I think they contrast so well and they look so good with our entire townhouse. But what do you think? Do you agree or disagree with this design choice? And while I was thinking that over, I noticed the doors looked a little funky since we put our shutters up. So I did end up moving these one block over to the left, and I make sure that they're all facing the same way this time. Then all I had to do on the face was finish adding the window eaves and go in and fix any little mistakes I made, like these upside down stairs. And from here, the process gets a little smoother since we've already picked out all of our colors. We can just play a little matching game from one side to the other. And after taking another look, I thought I had a little too much copper going on, so I switched the eaves on the stripped oak to these dark oak stairs. And that looked a lot better. I also decided I wanted another pop of color, so I added these prismarine brick stairs against the acacia buildings. And I think this turned out really cute. It is a little beachy for a cozy mountain resort, but for some reason I think it works really well. And because the brick is such a high contrast, I decided to stick with spruce stairs and keep it all the same color. And then for the stripped spruce townhouse, I decided to go with junglewood stairs to complement the cherry wood shutters. I think this turned out really nice. And once all the window accents were finished, I thought the doors looked a little flat, so I added these stone walls with fence posts to give them a little extra dimension. And I really love the look of these. I decided to match them all the way down to create a uniform look, and then I lowered the window on the second townhouse since we'll be adding the roof, and I don't really want the roof and the window eaves to touch, because I think that'd look a little funky. But before I started designing the roof, I decided to go the easy route and get the patios done. Now for these, I decided to go with mossy cobblestone stairs, and I know moss doesn't grow in snowy places, but this also kind of reminds me of algae, which does grow in cold climates. So I think it kind of gives it a more realistic feel. Since this patio is always wet, covered in snow, it makes sense that algae would grow here. Now, the only thing that I wish I did a bit differently here would have been to make the building a couple of blocks taller. So, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 blocks. So I could have an actual stoop instead of the single step down. I think that would have been so cute here. I'm still calling it a stoop, but the more I look at it, the more I kind of wish I did the like, hey Arnold stoop. I think that would have been so cute. And I am still really happy with how this build turned out, but I'll definitely be saving the stoop townhouse for a future build. And between each patio, I left a strip of grass to kind of break up the townhouses. And then I also moved the light pole from the cobblestone path and placed it on top of the tuft blocks. I also made it a little bit shorter so that it blends in and looks more like it's part of the building as opposed to sitting on the path. It just looked a little awkward. And the only real issue I ran into was when I tried to finish the patio in front of the last townhouse, because this was a little bit awkward. I should have planned this build a little better in the beginning with the alignment. So maybe I should have had it start where the cobblestone path ends, because it was just so awkward to try to make this patio work with the cobblestone path. You'll see here in just a second, but I ended up with this really awkward, like, sort of retention curb, and I don't know if you guys have any suggestions to make this stoop look a little better right here. Let me know so I can fix this, because it's so out of place and someone could trip and get hurt, right? But then I decided I wanted some more lighting against the face of the building. So I made some more of these little light poles and I spaced them every other townhouse. So on all of these stacked decorative tuft blocks, I added a light pole on the even numbers. And I like the way this turned out. It definitely brightened the whole build up. Now it is finally time to move on to the roof. And you guys, I finally figured out how to clear the weather. So I'm so excited. There will be no more snow in the middle of my rooftop builds. Yay! And I decided to go with smooth quartz stairs for the rooftop along with the stone. However, ignore the side part because I ended up changing this. I didn't like how tall it was getting, so I went with the flat roof because the townhouses are tall and narrow, and I thought the flatter roof would just look more polished. So I went around and started adding a row of stones to outline the rooftop, but I didn't want to go all the way around in case I didn't like the way it looked. So I decided before I was going to finish the outline, I should make sure the roof looks okay. So I went back and started filling in the edges with the smooth quartz stairs, and it actually turned out really nice. I then went around with the second row of stairs to give the roof a little more dimension, and once I was confident with the way it looked, I went ahead and finished outlining the rest of the townhouses with the stone blocks. From there, I added another row of stone blocks to continue the soffit, and when I got to the end, I realized I had placed the stairs in the wrong place, so I just quickly went and fixed that. Then I continued wrapping the quartz stairs all the way around the edge of the roof. Now, the inside of the roof might look a little bit tricky at first, but for each building, you are just going to wrap the quartz stairs all the way around until they meet each other in the corners. And then you're going to fill those empty spots in with stone blocks. blocks, and that's it. It's pretty simple, and we are just going to repeat this all the way to the end of the build until the very last block goes in. And how satisfying is that, you guys? We are done. We have finished our townhouse shops, and I think it looks so cute. What do you think? And as promised, here is a tour. So the first shop is this little candle shop, and I think it came out so cute. And upstairs we have an unfinished apartment. I am going to get around to furnishing these apartments in the next video, but I'll just show you the first one because they all look identical. And let's just ignore that running water for right now. But next we have the bake shop, and I think this little bakery is so cute, and I love the simple decorations. I think it's so warm and cozy in here. What do you guys think? I want to say it's one of my favorite because I used to work in a bakery, but I might be biased. So the next shop we have is our flower shop, and I just love how many exotic plants we have in here. This shop does have a little bit of upkeep with all of the vines, but this turned out to be a really cool shop. I especially love these spore blossoms. They are a bit messy, but I think it gives it such a cool vibe in here. What do you guys think? I also forgot to show you the downstairs bathroom. It's the same across all the townhouses, but I might change it to make it a part of the upstairs apartments. I'm not sure yet, but this next shop is my absolute favorite. Wait till you see this magic shop. And I don't care what anybody else says, this is by far the coolest shop in this build. This one definitely took me the most time to get right, and it does not include the time spent cleaning up after my little accident, which you will see in the next video. And you guys, I was not expecting something so crazy to happen in the middle of building this magic shop. So double check and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on the next video in this series. At the very least, you might have a good laugh at my expense. And we have made it to the last shop in this tour, so let's have a look at the pet shop. Alays might be my favorite mob in this game. What's yours? I wasn't quite sure how I was gonna make this pet shop, but I think it turned out pretty interesting. We have all of our animals lined up on the wall, and then we have our little aquarium in the front, which I did have to go back and tweak because this looked a little weird, so I just replaced the spruce steps there, and that was it. And you guys, I had so much fun building these townhouse shops, and I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I did making it. I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, take care and keep building. I just didn't know what we were onto yet, so I decided to head to Pinterest to get a little inspiration. And that is when I came across a cool design by Koala Builds. And it was this sort of, well, you know what? I'll show you.